Tall Boys and Trackmasters is brought to you by Expert Exhaust. Expect more for your money. MTB Shock Dock, your choice for suspension needs. High Gear Success. From helping racers get sponsored to motorsports event operation and promotion, shift your passion into high gear.
Track 93, the place to get ready to race.
And by IADV. From routes, guided tours, and more, we'll help you get lost.
Yeah, for some reason, when I see a lump, my sphincter tightens, I start to tremble, I go all sweaty.
I'm a big fan of the 1.5 pork chop cans, personally.
You gotta make sure you get your protein and carbohydrates all in one shot.
Yep.
Nice looking bike. That thing would look good with a hot fender too.
Yes, it
Got
would.
the,
Yeah.
got the line.
Yes, it does. Sorry about that. Can everybody hear us now? Give us a thumbs up in chat if you can hear us. Looks like it's back on. Sorry. Well, let's start that over again. Bill, sorry about that, everybody.
Take it from the top.
Take it from the top.
Open 2 new beers.
Yeah, we need 2 new
Do
beers
the
and
intro again. And
do it all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear myself now, so I think we're good. Yeah, Jamie Thomas. Thanks, buddy. Well, sorry about that, everybody. Welcome back. It's episode 80 of Tall Boys and Trackmasters. We are here with Mr. Bill Dailey from Outlaw Motorsports. Bill, thank you so much for having us here this evening. Let's start back over from the top again. So you were born and raised right here in Morgantown.
Yep.
You lived really close your entire life, and you were talking about getting your start into riding. Let's go back to that.
Yeah, I got my start in riding. I mean, basically, when I was little, we always went to the races. I mean, my mom had pictures of me in a diaper laying beside the track at Honda Hills. Okay, so yeah, I mean,
It's awesome.
my dad was always into motor street bikes, dirt bikes. I didn't start racing though till, like I said, 85, 86, when I was like 20, 19, 20, or 20, 21.
Yeah.
So started racing three wheelers and stuff
Oh,
up at Dream Mountain Raceway in Hazleton.
Okay.
That was spent a lot of years there racing, then running like the local, ran motocross, TT, switched to four wheelers, still raced motocross a lot, and then spent a lot of time in the hospital there for a while. So I decided to race cross country.
Yeah.
Didn't seem quite as violent.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I did a podcast with our buddy Kane Wagner and kind of said the same thing. It was like, you go to a motocross race and you're there to run, like a 20-minute practice and 2 10-minute motos for 16 hours of your day. And you're waiting on the ambulance to come back. People keep getting hurt. So it's like, the risk wasn't worth the reward there. And that's what got me into cross country too. So,
yeah.
So three wheelers, that's interesting. What kind of three wheelers did you have?
My first one was a 200X three wheeler. After that, I got a 250R three wheeler, raced it for a while. Me and Two Strokes never really got along really good.
Yeah.
And then I went to switched over to four wheelers.
Okay.
I actually own, between running and in pieces, I own about 5 or 6 three wheelers right now.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Those things really exploded in popularity the last probably 5 to 10 years.
They used to be, you could my first one I restored was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
12. I had it at the back when they had the bike show at Milan Park.
Yeah.
The thing. I actually had it in that show. It was in their book and stuff. And I paid like $300 for it, rebuilt it all, blah, blah, blah. The way it sits right now, I probably could sell it for like $5,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy what people are spending on it. It really is.
We got a mutual friend of ours that's got 2 KX 500s in pieces hanging out in his garage.
Yeah.
These things are worth a lot of money. His big bore two strokes are a hot ticket item now.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing a lot of these new conversion companies too, like taking the 450 motocross bikes and making them into three wheelers.
Yep. Three wheelers.
The CR 500 AF. All that.
Yeah. 4. They're actually in Europe. US is the only one that still sticks to the better firm of production rule for the quads.
Yeah.
You go to Europe, they race, it's all custom frames. They got dirt bike engines in four-wheeler frames, or they convert the dirt bike straight into a four-wheeler and race it, because I mean they don't have quite the loyalty to Yamaha that everybody does.
Well, that's definitely something we're going to get into here in the show here in the future quickly. But you still do any racing once in a while?
Once in a while. Actually, I'm working on my four-wheeler right now, trying to get it put together if I get free time to race some this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And what four-wheeler is that?
It's a Honda TRX 450R.
Okay, cool.
Classic.
Yes.
Yeah, I took about 4 or 5 years off because my daughter started racing.
Well, that's
so
good.
we spent a lot of time with her, and she did really well.
Yeah.
I mean, she came from Polaris 50 to a TRX 90 to a Raptor 250 within 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
To the second full year racing, she won her class championship.
Awesome.
And then we moved to adult, and it was a little rougher, but then she started college, and she goes to Fairmont State.
Yeah.
That's a lot more work.
Oh yeah. A lot more work and dedication.
Well, a lot less time for fun, more time for work. Yeah.
I get it.
It's adulthood.
Yep. I know all about that. It was a similar experience there.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Outlaw Motorsports, because you have been a staple in the community for part supplying or, gear, whatever have you, for almost 22 years now, correct?
Yeah. This August will be 22 years.
So let's talk about that. How did it come about that you wanted to start this business?
Well, I mean, I always love this. People looked at you and like, wow, you just started a business. There's a lot more to it than that. Is most people, anybody with your parents and their experience owning their own.
Yeah.
I actually had wanted to do this since the 80s, okay, but never had the nerve to do it. Me and my wife got together before we got married, but then ended up getting married. And after we was married, we just decided, I wanted to try this. I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. And, I was 38 years old when I did this. And I figured I was young enough still to recover from one dumb mistake if it didn't work.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of long hours, a lot of work. I mean, it's worked out. We got good years. We got bad years like everybody else, Motorcycle business, I tell everybody, is kind of like a roller coaster. I mean, you'll have a couple years that it's like, wow, this is great. And I mean, I know when I first opened, that was the big boom, the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Then in like 08 or 09, when the economy crashed, so did the motorcycle business.
Yeah, unfortunately, toys are always the first thing to go out of somebody's budget.
Oh, yeah. So it was, because in the early 2000s, I mean, I had a rep even made the same comment I said, that was so big from like 2000 to 2008 that you could make money with a business just by accident because it was so busy.
Yeah.
But then after that, with was it Honda didn't sell for 2 years, didn't even build four-wheelers like the racing quads because they had so many leftovers they couldn't sell.
Yeah.
So it's the way the market goes. I mean,
and I'm sure COVID kind of had an impact too. I know it did for our side of things. You were seeing more people get out there and ride.
Oh, yeah. I hated COVID with a passion, but that revitalized the off-road business. I mean, that 2 years was just crazy, crazy busy. You couldn't get enough stuff because you couldn't, for the first year and a half of COVID, you literally could do nothing but go outside and ride motorcycles, four-wheelers.
And that, when lockdown and all that hit, that was the single greatest time to be out riding.
That was your way to social distance.
Exactly. But virtually no cars on the road. You could go anywhere, ride wherever you wanted, more or less, and that was great. I don't want the circumstances back to make that happen, but I'd like to have that vibe back again.
Because like I said, I mean, because at that time, I mean, there was like no football, baseball, basketball, no big inside events even at the races. I mean, they was having to go, okay, we can't let all these spectators can't come, just the racers, and then you'd go to a facility like the GNCCs and it actually made it nice at the GNCCs. They painted out roads and painted out areas to camp to make sure people stayed far enough apart, and actually made it a lot nicer. Because it's a little more organized, and it wasn't like, God, I'm boxed in, I can never get out, type of thing.
Well, Bill, you are one of the few remaining places I know that offers pretty much everything that a person would need, whether they're riding, it doesn't matter what discipline, but you see a lot of facilities or places open up, like maybe the parts sales and the supply stuff is kind of their side gig, and they have like a main thing that they sell or do. But you're one of the last bastions of come in, you can buy what you need here. What do you try to keep on the shelves and learn through the years that people are going to need and they can come in and get today?
I mean, the basics, everybody has the goggles, the helmets, and riding gear. I really have a love-hate relationship with riding gear anymore because there's just so many companies now. It used to be there was Thor, Moose, Fox, Answer, MSR. Now I've never heard of some of the companies that there is out there now.
Somebody will post up to our riding group page about boot recommendations, something like that. It's just immediately just a flood of comments.
I've never heard of that one.
Exactly.
It used to be Alpine Stars. I mean, you just bought Alpine Stars. But I mean,
that was my preference.
But no, we try to keep a lot of the staples you need. I mean, besides oil and filter, I mean, I try to keep wheel bearings, brakes, chains, sprockets, brake levers, clutch levers, the cables, tires, tubes, the stuff you got to have to go riding. It's always nice. It's always nice to have the stuff to make your bike look pretty. But I mean, it's got to run too, though. Yes.
That's great. Now, another thing that I've always really liked about your place was just how welcoming you are. You come into a place like that, especially somebody that's new in the sport, they don't know anything about what's going on at all. Like I've seen moms come in here with their kids and they're trying to get them started and get them into it. What would you say is, a good thing to maybe a selection of try to get a kid or somebody new into the sport that they can come here and get?
I mean, if you got new people, I mean, the biggest thing is your basics is you need a good helmet. I mean, yeah, I have so many, I don't believe that I actually do have people that call and ask if I sell used helmets.
Oh my.
Yeah. But, a good helmet though, gloves, goggles, and I mean, that's your main things. Chest protector for little kids. I mean, actually is now a AMA rule. Anyone that races youth class must wear a chest protector.
Okay.
Boots is optional. You need a boot of some sort. Riding boots are nice, but it's hard for young people to learn. But good over the ankle boots. I mean, that's your main things. I mean, the riding gear, pants, jersey. I like to sell those to people because after a while they're all like, oh, they just wear the blue jeans. I go, yeah, but they never wear the same pair of blue jeans every time. And my daughter buys and my wife buys blue jeans that cost more than my riding pants that I sell. So,
I've got the opposite problem than that. My wife's always getting on me like, would you please go to Walmart, Gabe's, or somewhere and buy some new clothes? I'm like, no, I can't afford my dual sport gear. That's my expensive outfits that I wear.
As you sew yet another patch on your riding pants.
But yeah, I mean, that's your basics you need. I mean, and like I said, we try to help everybody that comes in, but boy, it's hard to get little kids sometimes to put a helmet on.
Yeah.
They do not like it.
My boys are that way. They don't like putting their helmets on.
Yeah.
We make them do it.
It's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. You have been obviously busy, and I mean, every time that I've come in here, there's always people in here. You're on the headset. You're talking to people on the phone nonstop. Do you like that chaos and the busyness? Is it a plus or minus?
There's pluses and minuses. I find that when we're busier, I make less mistakes. I don't know why, but I forget things. When we're really slow, you just kind of fall into that dull thing and you're like, oh, yeah. Oh man, I forgot to do that, because you get sidetracked. Yep. Yes. So when it's a little bit busier, it's better. I mean, either way, I mean, I do like to have time to talk to people when they come in, but sometimes you just, you don't get the time to do that. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a weird balance to try to strike there.
Yeah.
So 22 years almost coming up.
Yep.
If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice, your younger self just starting this place out, what would you tell yourself?
I don't know.
That's a hard question.
I mean, that's a hard question there. I don't know if I do a whole lot different. You know what I mean? I mean, it's worked out the way we've done it. I mean, there could have been a few little things you could have done different, but I mean, it is what it is now. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I would change anything though. I mean, we've had a good run. I mean, I plan on being here for a while longer. I mean, I don't know how much longer. January, I just turned 60. So yeah, I mean, that's still sinking in when I say it. I mean, I don't feel like I'm that old. Yeah. But I said I don't necessarily tell them I don't want to work the rest of my life, but hey, I got to be able to pay for stuff. So you got to do something to earn money.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I've always appreciated about you is your willingness to help local guys, local racers, whether it be parts, support, what have you. You have seen the gamut of the fastest guys in this area grow up from a kid on the youth class to racing the pro class. Talk about your experience with kind of helping the local guys out and some of the sponsorship stuff that you've done.
I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, I started out racing. Okay. I mean, I started out riding really when I was little and then got into racing, and I really enjoyed the sport. And I know what it's like to race and know, how much, and especially now how expensive stuff gets. Yeah. That's why I try to look for deals. I tell people a lot of the helmets we carry, there's nothing wrong with the helmets we carry. We carry a lot of different brands because I'm like, hey, these are on sale. Next year, it's a new color, but it's the same helmet, but they're on sale. Instead of it being a $200, $300 helmet, I mean, we got some were selling for $99. There was a $200 retail helmet. Yeah. they closed them out because of issues of, well, the new ones are coming out. We got to get rid of the old inventory. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I got a lot of riders over the years. We've helped out. I mean, I still help sponsor a lot of riders, with discounts, whatever we can do. Try to get them, if anything, free if we can. I mean, one of the main riders we always used to help out that he's kind of retired from racing now, Zach Nolan.
Yep.
I mean, Zach went from 10 years old racing a 65 to, finishing top amateur in 2016 on, KTM, ran XC2, had ran at what couple he won the XC2 at Kentucky one year as a mud race. He always did really good in the mud.
That's a common theme for guys around here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody in this area.
If you don't want to ride mud in this area, you just won't ride at all.
Yeah. But because he actually at one point, I have a photo somewhere in my memories on Facebook that he was actually leading the overall from the XC2 class because it was so bad. And like I said, we've had a lot of guys come in here that's raced over the years has really went big. I mean, back when we first opened, like Lane Michaels, his dad, they're local. They used to come in here. Caleb Russell had been in here at times, stuff. Thad Duvall, I actually gave him donations to him back when they went to one of the first ISDEs and stuff. And I used to race with his dad back on the 4-wheelers back in the day and stuff, never done enough for him. But Barry Hawk, I've been friends with him since we raced 4-wheelers together at Dream Mountain Raceway, and stuff. So, I've been around the industry my whole life, and it's just, I really can't think of anything else I would have ever done, if I had my choice, you know what I mean? Other than, winning the lottery or something.
That's a given.
I know it's got to be kind of cool and maybe kind of sad at the same time to see those guys like that you helped out in their younger days, and now they're having kids and they're out there racing. It's got to be kind of a wild situation there a little bit.
It is. Even with like you guys, your mom and dad, I helped you guys out when you used to race a lot and their stuff. Watched you guys grow up, you and your sister and your mom and dad, they took care of y'all and raised you proper. Kinda,
I don't know if
I'd hate to see an improper upbringing.
Yeah.
Sorry, mom and dad.
Sorry. But no, but I said, like you're saying right now, though, I got a lot of guys I helped when they was young coming in, bringing their kids in now that are starting to ride. Some of them are starting to race and whatnot. Actually, a neighbor of mine, Barry Nicholson, I used to help him out when he raced dirt bikes, whatever. He still races a 4-wheeler some now, but now his daughter has started racing a 4-wheeler. So, just kind of just goes from there, from generation to generation, I guess.
That is something cool. Like you're literally generationally supporting these people. So that's something that's really, you don't see that anywhere else, honestly. Like I said, a lot of these places, maybe they have good intentions like this and they want to be in the community and help sponsor and be parts suppliers and whatnot, but they just don't last very long.
That's the difference between, like you're saying, being a parts supplier, like Cycle Gear or someplace like that, and being able to serve the community of riders and
I know
help the hobby along. And
I know Trevor had some questions about the rise of the click and shop places we have now compared to the parts stores.
And I'm as guilty of it as anybody else is. Sometimes you're either driven by the timeline of being able to have it, like if you order from Rocky Mountain, it's here and pretty quick, or sometimes there's some really, really fair deals out there. But now that I've moved closer, I live in Masontown now, so it's a lot more attractive to stop by here on my way to work to get some parts than it is to click and wait.
Well, and I tell people, I don't expect people to buy everything they get off of me. I just tell myself, I like to at least give me a fair shot, type of thing. And because I had some people before, like I had a boy one time compare me to like Rocky Mountain. He goes, well, I called Bill, but he didn't have it, but Rocky Mountain had it in stock. And I'm going, oh, wow. Compare me to a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I kind of take that as a compliment, but it's hard to compete with that kind of stuff because I mean, we don't really sell on the internet. I do some eBay stuff with mainly old, outdated stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really do a regular sales on the internet. And I said, I've always wanted to be like a face-to-face kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had Jeff Russell at the GNCCs. He comes in here occasionally. I mean, and he was in here one time, and it's been several years ago. But he gave me what I considered a great compliment. He told me one day, he said that he considered me one of the last true old school motorcycle shops.
And I would wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
Yeah, because most of them now, he goes, you go in and it's like, you know, well, back then it was like he said, all they worried about selling bikes. But I said, now, I mean, I'm not trying to diminish the motorcycle industry, but it's like going into a car dealer now with all the side by sides.
Yep.
I mean, it's unbelievable how much, and I know that's their big money now, but I'm just kind of like, it's like some of them just kind of forgot about where they came from, you know.
It's a place like this are really few and far between that aren't coupled with some form of dealership.
Yeah.
You're like going to one of the various places, try to get parts and get, first and foremost, hounded by salesmen on your way to the parts counter.
Yeah.
And a lot of these parts counters leave a little bit to be desired in terms of
knowledge.
Yeah.
I've been there, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I can think multiple times that, you know, stopping at, I mean, I hate to throw anybody under the bus, but, you know, Morgantown, RG, these places around here. And, you know, I get it. Young people need a job and they really don't have that much experience sometimes. But when you come into a place like this and I'm asking you like, hey, I need a set of wheel bearings for my KTM 500, you're going to be able to walk over here on your shelf and pull them off, not type on the computer for 30 minutes and try to figure out what part numbers match and this and that. You know what I mean? So that's a huge advantage, I think, that you have compared to places like that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we try to, I mean, and I've always thought, I told someone, I said, I try to, because I know the dealerships have the amount of volume and the big glitz and glamour a little more than what we have. But I try, like I told someone, I've always tried to really compare myself, try to compete against mail order. You know, I try to get the same kind of discount pricing, but more with a hometown service. You know what I mean? Because there's really, like I said, we try to discount most of our stuff. And I look at the internet. I know what people sell stuff for. And there's a lot of the stuff that we sell that, I mean, we're actually cheaper than the internet on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, it's the convenience of I can click a button and in a day or two or three, it's sitting at my house.
But
you know what I mean?
Where that falls short is when you need it now.
Yes.
It's like it's Friday night. I just noticed my wheel bearings are completely shot.
Yeah.
You know, where else are you going to be able to go get a set of wheel bearings or something than one of your local shops?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I have the select amount of customers that we have that, I mean, I think your dad used to fall into this thing that.
Well, poor guy was trying to keep 4 YZ250s going at one time. So
that all have the phone number to my cell phone. And I would get these phone calls that, or some of them I got like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Man, you think you got wheel bearings or a chain? Can you meet me at the shop? I got a race tomorrow, you know. And I'd run down, you know, because I only live like 3 miles away. You know, I'd run down and meet them so they could go race the next day. You know, so yeah.
Well, speaking kind of on that same subject, you also travel to a lot of these local events and set your facility up, you know, in a smaller scale, but you have stuff available. And I know you just did that this past weekend at Mountain State.
I just did this past weekend. This is the first time I've ever done a whole weekend race because it used to be that it was all a one-day event. So it was on Sundays most of the time, and you could go there. It was all happened in one day. So it worked out pretty good. Well, now they've all gotten so big that it's a 2-day event. And that's hard for me to do because it's hard to justify to shut my shop down for a whole day to go to the races, to sell stuff. And then you got people that's dependent on you to be here. So the 2-day event ones are hard to do. Typically what we'll do anymore though, we still go to the races to set up to sell, but I'll go do the Sunday. So like I said, I know at Mountain State, they race quads on Sunday, and at New East Coast, they do the dirt bikes on Sundays. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of times I don't do it as much as we used to. I wish I had more time, but you know, we all know that, you know, just there's too many irons in the fire.
Yeah, for sure. Now you've seen, you know, the whole gamut the last, 22 years of trends and racing and people come up. What's something that maybe you didn't expect to see in our sport as it's went along the last 20 years?
In the sport, oh God, that's changed.
Yeah, something that's changed the most maybe in the last 20 years.
Boy, I mean, one of the first things, and I hate to, realm only on four-wheeler stuff, but I was amazed amount the people companies that just like quit making racing or sport quads.
Yeah.
I mean, there's such a huge market for that still that, I mean, there's a lot of the off-brand companies. KO,
actually,
they just got a new 300.
We just talked about that on the show.
I was
at AIM Expo, got to see it in Vegas there. Yeah, it was cool. And in person, it looked like a pretty good machine.
Yeah, Dirt Wheels did an article on it, and they said they believe the motor that was in the frame was the same motor that's in the KLR 300 Kawasaki.
Yeah,
it's a
great.
dual overhead cam motor. Yeah. But like I said, little companies like that are coming up because they wrote an article on it, and that guy said that Honda never said that they couldn't make four-wheelers or what. They said there wasn't a market for it. It wasn't a big enough number. He thought that, hey, I'd love to sell that many four-wheelers.
It couldn't.
There was, it was an economical thing.
The red line didn't go up quite fast enough making quads.
Yeah, because it was, what was it? I had always heard the rumor in 2020 Honda was going to re-release a race quad. Yeah. Actually, Dirt Wheels found patents by Honda that's in the U.S. Patent Office for a 450 fuel-injected race quad and a 250 fuel-injected, both water-cooled race quads that they never built. I mean, there's a couple of the pro riders that actually said they rode those bikes. Had actually rode. Joel Hetrick was one of them. Because they said someone said they was down south at a motocross track. It said when there was no one else on the track, they would ride it. But when anybody else got out there, it got parked. Yeah. So nobody could see what it was. Yeah,
we've talked about on the show several times in the past is how manufacturers just abandon the quad market. Yeah. And I've made the joke, there's only so many Chinese engine rebuild kits a TRX can suffer before it's completely out of service.
I know a guy that actually built a motor for one that sat down and ordered every OEM part to build a brand new complete engine for one. I mean, I don't even know what he had in it. I'd hate to ask. I mean, but yeah, I'm sure it wasn't. The cases and stuff aren't really as expensive as you would think they are. But man, when you start hitting the transmission area, that's where it starts getting expensive.
Right.
But if you want to race, I mean, that's what you got to do. Yeah. I mean, you look at like a Yamaha, I mean, they're 10, 11 grand and you throw half of it away when you race. Yeah. That's where dirt bikes have the advantage, you can go buy a dirt bike, put some money into it and go out and race it without doing a lot of work. Four-wheelers, I mean, you kind of could do the same thing, but you're not near as competitive.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But
one thing that's always kind of, and I'm sure you've dealt with this with your daughter racing too, is that weird age gap where a kid's not allowed to race a 450, but they're too big for a Raptor 125. So you see this weird realm of like hybrid quads, like the 250 motocross bikes being put on there. And that's one thing you mentioned the Kaio. I think that Kaio can kind of fill that gap right there. I think there's a market for that.
There is. I mean, there's a lot of, who is it? CF Moto makes some decent looking youth quads. I mean, the problem with a lot of the biggest problem I've always seen with the off-brand companies is it's the parts availability.
Yep.
They never seem to have the parts.
Talk to this guy.
They'll sell you the bikes, but they don't supply the parts. And I got people come in here that trying to see if I can find anything for them that they said they've spent months just trying to find basic components.
Or worse yet, you end up with like not even a mid-model year change, a mid-model month change that's not well documented. You finally think you've got the part for your off-brand quad, and it shows up and it's not even remotely correct.
Yep, I've seen places that actually tell you got to send a picture in of what you want, so they know which part they're supposed to be sending you. But I mean, the motorcycle industry, it's always has been a big change because, like I said, there for a while, you couldn't buy a dual sport hardly. I mean, there was like, we got the XR 650L, the KLR 650, and a couple little ones, and that's all you get. And then 5 years later, there's like 100 different dual sports.
That market exploded pretty much right around the time I got into the hobby, which is 2019 ish, I think. Stuff really started to take off. The adventure bikes got really big, and then in recent years, the middleweight adventure bikes, around 400 to
300. The Honda makes the 300 now. And then you always had the DRZ 400s.
Yeah.
I mean, they was a pretty mainstay,
Which you have the new one that's a little pricey.
They found a way to make it heavier too.
Yeah, and more expensive.
They went the wrong direction.
Yeah, $9,000.
$9,000.
Yeah, I think before tax and title and everything, it's like $8,500. So out the door, it's gonna be over $9,000 for a new DRZ. That weighs more than the old one, but it's fuel injected.
Plus dealer markup.
Yeah,
and you got to go ahead and figure you're going to spend at least $300 on a fuel tuner from DynoJet or one of the other common manufacturers to get it to run right. Because it's
get it from Bill.
From the factory, and
that's
what you get into.
Like you said, though, we're definitely spoiled when it comes to that. I mean, so many brands. And even like CF Moto, you just mentioned them. They have the new Ibex 450 that's coming out, which is the off-brand kind of middleweight adventure bike.
Yeah.
I would say out of all of the Chinese motorcycles, they're going to have the best chance at success just because of the dealer network they have.
Well, and they, like I said, they have a lot of history with KTM that they shared manufacturing facilities, whatever.
Possibly to too great of an extent.
Yes. Well, I've seen that CF Moto actually has an all-electric motocross bike.
Yeah.
But I mean, going to all-electric motocross bikes, I'm just kind of like, that makes it a lot easier to build something, because I mean, it isn't like you got to figure out a high tech motor. It's electric. I mean,
you don't have to figure out how to make your valve train last more than 10 hours. Something that I'm really waiting for is some Chinese manufacturer come out with an electric trials bike that's affordable but has still decent suspension and all that stuff, and a clutch. Because I know a lot of these electric bikes don't have a clutch, which to me
it's
would
either
be
off or on.
So weird, because I'm used to modulating power and traction with a clutch.
If you're Taddy Blazuziak, you don't have to modulate anything. You just run it right into you.
Launch it right into somebody.
Awesome. So obviously you just said there earlier that you see yourself continue in the future. Any other future goals that you want to see come to fruition?
I don't know. I mean, we got a pretty good deal here. I mean, like I said, I've been doing some stuff with eBay. I want to try to expand a little bit more into that. But I mean, other than that, just trying to keep up with the markets and stuff and everything, and just try to service everybody the best we can.
Yeah.
I don't want to, it's one of those, you try to keep attracting people in, but you don't want to run anybody off, but
right.
There's always those few customers you don't want to come back, but no, like I said, I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what we got going on here. Cause like I said, we do the aftermarket parts. We do provide that I can get all the OEM parts and stuff. So, I mean, I got enough connections with that we do have a pretty good turnaround with parts for that end of it. So, other than that, I mean, just trying to keep our head above water every day, but
I'd be remiss, because I know Trevor had some questions about what's around us right here now. Because this is something we definitely got to talk about here.
Yeah. So at what point did you diversify into RC?
We was open, like I said, we opened August of 2003. And I mean, at that point, I mean, everything was all beginner, I took zero money out of the business for 2 years. We lived off of what my wife made, is all we done. And thank her, everybody. But I'd always done a lot of different things, and for a really, really, really short period of time, I considered maybe working on bikes a little bit. And then that really went out of my mind real quick. Okay. And I wanted something extra to do. And I'd always, after I quit racing four-wheelers, I got it because I broke my arm severely one year that I spent 6 months in and out of casts with a broken arm. It broke like right here, like a
Oh, you
V.
broke your humerus.
Yeah.
When people say they broke their arm, I always think your radius and all.
No, I had the throttle on my 4-wheeler stick wide open in the middle of the woods. Down at a lot of guys don't remember Whole Shot Motocross Park down in Fairmont. It was a cross country race. Throttle stuck wide open in the middle of the woods. I just didn't jump off soon enough. Broke my arm. It was healing decent, and then the cast loosened up something. It went crooked. They had to straighten it out.
Man.
It was not fun. But like I said, I spent about 6 months in and out of cast before it got healed.
Yeah.
When I bought our RC car years before, because the track I referenced before, Dream Mountain Raceway, the owner of it, Ross Savage, had raced 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers, but through his work, he just kind of got away from it, and he got into racing RC cars. Well, then he, from the better part of a word, suckered all of us other guys into buying them, and he built a track up there, and we would race them after we was done racing the 4-wheelers. And he just take our money. So, I mean, but when I got hurt, I started
good business model.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's great.
Yeah, but I broke my, like I said, but when I broke my arm, I started messing with my RC cars again. And there was a local hobby shop, and I got into racing them. And I done that after I quit racing 4-wheelers. I got into that pretty heavy and done that for probably 4 or 5 years, and then quit. Got out of that. And then when I opened, I was here, and it's kind of like, well, what else can we do just to, make a little bit extra money in between the bike parts sales? And I just went to this, because it was just something I naturally knew there was nothing in town, and like what this was. So, and it kind of goes together. I mean, to a point, because you can go to a lot of motocross races, and when they're in between motos, you'll see these cars out running everywhere. Yeah.
So years ago, before I ever got into riding, probably about 2018 or 17, it would have been, I bought an Axial SCX 10-2.
Yeah.
And it had the servo horn that was plastic.
Yes.
And that did not last long. And your place was the only one local where I could get that servo horn so I could go back and keep going the same day. So,
like I said, we treat this stuff kind of like what we do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we got guys that come in to buy them that anywhere from rock crawlers to what we call basher guys. That we got guys that come in that seriously race these cars. I mean, we do. I got one that we race. I'm not quite as serious as they are anymore, but we got a couple boys that come in here. One, he comes in that he's a couple of them was sponsored by the manufacturers, actually.
Oh, really?
Like Team Associated, whatever, that they got big discounts and whatnot on the cars and whatnot. But a lot of people laugh at me, but there's people that race the RC cars that some of them, they make like 6-figure incomes. Yeah. Because the thing with the RC cars is, unlike a motorcycle, you don't have to be in super fit condition. You don't have to be young. I mean, anyone can do it. I mean, it's just practice.
Well, I know the RC rock crawler market's completely exploded the last several years, and now we've gotten down to like 24th scale. There's some 36 scale stuff out there now.
I don't know how many times I've been like on social media or whatever scrolling through, and you're like, man, this 4-door Wrangler's straight getting it on these rock, and then it zooms out, and you're like, oh shit, there's an RC car.
It's an RC car.
Yeah, it's crazy how they do that.
Well, some of them are very realistic looking. The rock crawlers came out and they've been around for years, kinda.
It used to be like
it was always used converting something into a rock crawler.
Yeah.
Then Axial, I think it was a 2008 or 2009, was the first ones that came out with a true kit, and then later on a ready to run version, rock crawler, 10 scale. And from there, I mean, and since then it was it got real big and then kind of died off. Then got big, died off. But over the past 5-6 years, it really has stayed the steadiest it ever has in a long time. And the smaller scale, the 124 scale ones, has actually helped the market a lot because they're $150.
Yeah.
You can get one.
They're really accessible. Just like the 10th scale ones, you can put you can change out every single part
with something different. Yeah.
Right. You can end up with like Johnny Cash's Cadillac by the time you're done.
But the thing, the little ones, you can use them inside. You can use them on the house. You can anywhere from couch cushions to and stuff to. I know guys that take like a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of plywood and use that great stuff, spray foam, and make rocks out of it and stuff. You had to have their own little indoor crawler course. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun hobby. I mean, it gives you something to do, in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Or if you, break a leg or
Well,
something while you're
well,
riding,
my last injury, I couldn't run an RC crawler if I wanted to. I had both arms and a cast.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a rough one.
Yeah, on our easy loop. I still don't understand that.
Hey, buddy, you can't get lucky all the
I
time.
know. You think it would be anything, it'd be the hard stuff.
Well,
Yep.
Damn KLX got you.
Unfortunately, when your front tire doesn't have any air in it,
Yeah.
it doesn't react the way you think it's gonna, trying to correct a slide. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yep.
All right, Bill, we're going to go through a segment that we ask every single interview guest we have, and that is called the Six Pack. All right, buddy. First up on the docket, favorite trail tunes. You listen to any music while you're out there riding or racing?
No.
No?
No.
Just the voices inside
Just
your
the
head?
voice.
Just the little voices inside my head. Yes. And they're scary sometimes.
All right. Next up, Trevor.
You'll have to ask on my behalf.
Dream bike
Dream bike.
or quad, since you're a quad guy.
Dream bike to have right now. I'd love to have a 250R 3-wheeler again. Yes.
Oh, okay. I like
Yeah.
that. Send it out of the gravity cavity up in Unadilla.
They just sold one on the internet about 10 years ago. In the crate 250R 3-wheeler was sold for $30,000.
Oh, I believe it.
It just sold out of that guy's collection about a month ago for $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even
In
vision
a way,
that.
in a way, that's really
That was-
interesting. But it's kind of sad that thing's just going to get passed around as a museum piece and
No.
never,
It is because
never truly see the light of day or get ran.
Yeah, because it literally is still in the crate.
Yep.
The guy did a wooden platform and has it encased in glass.
Wow.
It's still in the metal crate with the cardboard
Yeah.
box on it, the whole deal.
Every now and then, Kaplan America will come across,
Yeah.
bikes still in crates and
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
remember some time ago seeing a Banshee new in crate. A guy
Oh,
got a
yeah.
hold of, and they paid pretty penny for it. Then unboxed it and
That's crazy to think that there's still
took
There's-
bikes
it
out
there-
like that. Like
They're
that,
still around. When I worked at Morgantown Honda, we had a boy come in that said his brother-in-law had passed away, and his dad still had a 4-wheeler in his garage, 250R in the crate
Oh,
that
wow.
they'd got to race. And I actually had a guy come in here about 4 or 5 years ago that knew what I was talking about and said he knew where it was, and he said it was still in that garage in the crate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
brand new, never been rode, never been out of the crate. Yeah.
Huh. That's awesome. What's your favorite terrain to ride in?
Well, it ain't rocks.
Well, I
Too
got
bad that's all
bad,
we
I
got
got
around
bad
here.
news for you, man.
Well, there's a difference between rocks and rocks. Okay. I mean, I like the woods. I do really good in mud, but I prefer more of a loamy soil kind of ride. I don't, and to say, I hate riding on beat up trails, but that's really all we got anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, you gotta ride them, but I ride about anything, you know what I mean? So, it really doesn't matter. Like I said, as long as it ain't too many rocks, that's the whole big deal. Yes.
Right. Cool. That's good. All right. Next up on the docket, we have best trail snack. What's the best thing to eat while you're out there riding?
I always usually have, what was this? Power bars.
Power bars.
Yeah. You got to have chocolate in it too, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way. It's that or a Hershey bar, but they usually melt. So
All right. Next up, what's a must-have trail tool you should keep on your bike or quad out there?
a cell phone. No. Yeah.
That's a first. That's a first.
A must-carry tool. I always said one of those multi-tools, you
Yeah.
know.
Good Leatherman or
Leatherman or
Yeah,
something
I
like
got
that,
it.
because at least you do have
Yeah.
a little versatility.
So I'll tell a story of my Leatherman real quick. It was
Yeah.
the first day that I went ride with FDSR. I had recently gotten a Leatherman for my then girlfriend, now
Yeah, I know
wife,
what you're trying to say.
and hadn't done anything with it. Took it out of the package, put it in a little case, and put it in my trail bag, and that was it. So our buddies that we were riding with went down trying to keep up with James and tore his knee up, and he was in really bad shape. And so I used the first thing I did with that Leatherman was to cut and split a sapling that uses a splint that we wrapped around his leg with electrical tape to get him to the end of what was it, Snake Road or
12
something
mile.
like that? 12 mile.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
and then to the ambulance in
Yeah.
Oakland Hospital.
Yep. So that was the first thing that my Leatherman got to do.
And your first ride with us.
Yeah.
It's been downhill since.
And uphill, some side hill,
Some side hill.
yeah, some over the handlebars.
All right, buddy. Last but not least, if you only do 2 mods to a machine, what would they be?
2 mods to a bike.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I always tell most people is suspension. You do your suspension, and then from there, probably a pipe or something like that.
I'd say
Yeah.
suspension is probably the most common answer we get for
Yeah,
for
because
everybody.
it's really, I mean, you can put all the horsepower, all the motor work you want into something, but I mean, Pirelli used to have a great statement about their tires, but it fits the bike world. Power is nothing without control.
Yep.
So if you can't control it, it's going to
Yeah.
do you no good.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
good.
If you can't put it to the ground, it's
useless.
it's just more spinning.
Yes.
Yeah, and it seems like we've kind of hit a plateau maybe a little bit when it comes to factory suspension. Like it is what it is anymore.
Yeah.
Like I've always personally loved the Yamaha Triple SK Alba stuff.
Yeah.
It's been my personal favorite.
Yep.
Getting this KTM now, that's my first experience with the WP stuff, and it works okay.
I like mine.
Tickle.
Mine's a little bit.
Yeah, you've got the Explorer
Mine's
stuff.
2 generations
Yeah.
beyond yours, but we're also in a really weird spot right now where people won't buy a machine and go ride it and then themselves determine what they want to change about it
Right.
before they even have it or right after they have it. They'll have like 2 hours on a machine on the forum seeing what,
Oh, yeah.
what $5,000 worth of mods do I need to
Yeah, I mean,
make this thing usable?
I tell people these factories do pay an awful lot of money to engineers to design these bikes, you
Yeah.
know, and I mean, there's, everybody has a theory on what makes something better, what makes it worse. But
Yep.
I do know a lot of people really hate the air forks. It's on the
Oh, yeah.
KTMs and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Our buddy Tyler just paid money to delete all that stuff on his 350.
oh
so-
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me the other day they was going to have that done to theirs, and it was like, oh my God, it's like $1,200.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
That's a
I just go buy another bike that doesn't have air forks on it.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for the 6-pack and lead us into our next segment, which is some industry news. All right. First up, you kind of mentioned it there earlier. The CRF 300L and 300L Rally is going to be updated for 2025.
Bold new graphics.
A little more than that. The 2025 Red Rooster is going to receive a new upper shock bearing. So I didn't know this on those bikes. They actually have a rubber bushing
Yes.
instead of a bearing. So
Gets pretty ragged out over
I can
time.
imagine
I would
that.
hate to see the one on Arthur's bike.
yeah, so they actually get a legit bearing, increased dampening front and rear, which is good. It's still not rebound or compression adjustable yet,
No.
so it's a
And
little
it's
stiffer.
Still a single side spring on the
Yes.
front fork.
Yep. It does have a new cooling fan setup. Price start at $64.99. So, we've been accused of ragging on this machine in the past.
We've been
and
accused
hurt
of
some feelings about
all
that.
kind of
but
things, and I've always said with the caveat, Honda sought to produce a good entry level dual sport at a price point,
yeah,
and they did.
they did.
So it's going to have shortcomings, but
Yeah. Well, hopefully this may get it slightly closer to the KLX.
LED blinkers,
Yeah.
and an LED headlight, right?
Yeah, and the rally fairing you
For
don't
the
get.
U.S. market.
Yeah, you don't get that for the on the KLX. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully that makes it a little bit better. Up next, a little sad local news, unfortunately.
Especially for me.
Yeah, the West Virginia Department of Highways has closed Bull Run Bridge outside of Masontown, which we're in right now.
Yeah.
In Delslow, citing that it was unsafe for vehicle travel. This is the only crossing there between Albright and Cheat Lake now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we utilize this route a lot in our dual sport rides,
Just like
and
we did
events.
Rockville.
Yeah, and this is another instance of a cool area kind of getting shut down on.
Yep.
So
So
hate to see that.
I live maybe 10 minutes 10 minutes on a quad, probably 4 minutes on my KTM
Yeah.
from that. And it's really unfortunate because that was somewhat of a selling point for us moving out there was accessibility to that, because it's a pretty cool area.
Now you go swim.
Yeah.
You get across.
Yeah. So I posted that to our group ride page, and there's somebody asked about like low depth water crossings.
Yeah.
It ain't happening there.
Man.
Not a cheap land, not a cheap river.
Bring an inflatable raft.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's such a good area. Yeah, I know there's been some issues there in the past with some gang activity and people always jumping off the top of the bridge and whatnot. But such a pretty area, and especially for what we do in dual sport and adventure riding, it's a staple in there to ride down there.
So it's kind of sad. There's going to be a whole coming generation of street and trail riders that won't get the classic picture on the Bull Run bridge.
Yeah. I know I laughed last year when we did the easy loop. I don't know if you know this, but on the easy loop and hard loop, we give out what's called the badass award.
Yeah.
So whoever does the most badass thing, best crash, something like that. Well, I was down at the bridge there on Sunday. That was our lunch stop, and I'm there walking around, and everybody's like, "Anybody jump off this bridge?" I was like, "Yeah, people have in the past, and if you do it today, you'll win the badass award." So nobody took the bait then.
It's not worth it for a plastic trophy, buddy.
It's cool though. Hell, Dave Porter totaled his BMW to get it on Saturday. It was awesome. Still fixing that thing. All right,
it'll never be fixed.
Nah, he's a nut job anyway though.
He's a character.
Now, this news here actually broke as I was driving up, so I had to kind of hurry and throw it here on the end. But Triumph has teased some new enduro models. Now, we know the 250 has been available and kind of teased a little bit, but this appears to be a 450 as well. I got to see the 450 Triumph in Vegas up close and personal. It's had help with Ricky Carmichael with some development. I really liked it. It kind of puts you in the mind of that 2006-7 YZ, four-stroke frame kind of is what it looks like. Now the clip that I saw here, these things have a headlight and they had a brake light that works. So maybe we could see some blinkers on there.
Get some blinkers and
another dual sport. That'd be awesome. They said that there's more information to come on the 25th of this month.
That's exciting.
So we'll see what happens with that. Sold any Triumph parts yet, Bill?
No, not for those anyhow. No. I don't even know if I can get Triumph parts for those. So.
Yeah.
They actually have a guy who's Ricky Russell.
Yeah,
who's racing a Triumph at the GNCCs and
and
been doing rather well. I mean, for first year out.
Supercross too. I know they had the points lead in the 250 West there for a little while. The rider's hurt now.
We joked pretty heavily about the gradual unveiling, about a 3-minute teaser video of like, here's the shift level, like stuff like that. But they do appear to have put together a pretty well thought out and well built bike.
Yeah. That and is it the new one? What's the Ducati?
Oh yeah,
it's got that new 450 that I don't know when
they just released announced the 250 too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the Desmo valves on a 250 too.
Yep.
So there's that's a company that doesn't have a bottom to a wallet.
No.
No. KTM tried and they couldn't hang with them.
Yeah.
So
I know the 450 won the World GP there last year when it was released. So yeah, maybe we'll see one of those with the blanket. That'd be a sweet dual sport too.
It wouldn't matter to me. I can't afford it.
Yeah,
I could sell all 4 of my bikes and my Jeep and still come up short of getting that thing.
You can't sleep in it. So.
No. All right, we got a couple of comments tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in here. Let's go through. Jamie Thomas was telling us about the volume. Appreciate that there. Alex, they already know we're here at Outlaw Motorsports, and come up here, buddy. Get some RC car parts. Michael Drosko was talking about him earlier off camera. Yeah, he said you're up here. And Joe Cole gives us a smiley face. So appreciate that, guys. All right. Well, that's going to lead us into the last segment of every show and everyone's favorite, a little had to lay her down.
Did you run into some clippings? Did Barb take the kids? Well, Hoss, maybe you had to lay her down.
Tonight's Had to Lay Her Down is brought to you by a Yamaha Grizzly. I thought that was appropriate for Mr. Bill tonight here, so we'll let this one play out. Looking good. No helmet.
Good counterweight, though.
Oh, yeah. Big gravel pile.
Something I always preferred about dirt bikes to four wheelers is if you fell out on a hill, a dirt bike will not chase you back down like a homing missile.
So
it's a chase you down and just make sure you're hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, you being a quad guy all these years, is there a magnet in those things that just goes to you every single time?
Yeah. I mean, you have the tether switch to kill the motor, but sometimes that makes it worse.
It just brings it to you.
Just
right?
switch doesn't fix gravity, does it?
That doesn't stop gravity. I mean, it is a whole different realm. Yes, it definitely is. Yes.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your evening here, buddy, to sit down and talk with us there. And good luck and everything in the future, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'd like to thank a couple people. I mean, my wife and daughter, for always supporting me. She's been behind me 100%. They've both been behind me 100% all the time. Andy Thorne, a lot of you guys come in here with Andy. He's always been here working. There's a lot of days I wouldn't be able to do it without him. So
awesome.
Yeah, sometimes I don't tell him enough, but
Well, you heard it
but he's but yeah, I mean, all the customers we get, I mean, everybody is very pleasant. It's nice to have a good loyal clientele. I mean, people come and go over the years, but it's been a good run. I said, so we hope to be here several more years at least.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with the economy as it goes, but this year is looking to be, I'm hoping to be better than the past couple, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, awesome. I really enjoyed this, man. I appreciate you guys stopping up.
Hey man, we like highlighting local people, especially, and you've been on the radar for a while. So awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. You're going to be able to catch us next week on Friday live from the West Virginia Capitol Rotunda for Motorsports and Adventure Travel Day. We've got some pretty exciting guests lined up, maybe a senator or two to talk to. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Maybe. No Jim Justice, no baby dog.
Now, let me tell you,
No
just tell you this. We ain't going to have him on the show because he's in Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for all. We appreciate everybody tonight, and we'll catch you next time on Tall Boys
and Track Masters. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.